Breaking news this morning. Stick around for the next 60 seconds, otherwise you will miss critical information. We are following a rapidly developing situation out of Arizona that just took a significant turn. According to multiple reports, at least 3 individuals have now been detained in connection with the Nancy Guthrie case, as federal and local authorities escalate their investigation. Before we go any further, if you rely on clear, fact-based updates without speculation, take a moment to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This story is moving quickly, and verified developments could come at any time. Here is what we can say with certainty right now. Multiple outlets are reporting active law enforcement operations tied to the case, including detentions and the seizure of at least 1 vehicle. Federal authorities are now visibly involved, and sources confirm an intensified investigative presence near locations linked to the case. What remains unclear, and critically important, is why these individuals were detained, what their legal status is, and whether any formal charges have been filed. That distinction matters. Detention does not automatically mean arrest. Arrest does not automatically mean charges, and charges do not equal guilt. In high-profile cases like this, confusion spreads fast, and misinformation spreads even faster. Our job here is to slow this down and separate confirmed facts from assumptions. What makes this moment different is not just the reported number of people detained. It's the shift in posture from authorities. This is no longer a quiet search or a limited inquiry. Multiple agencies are now involved, assets are being seized, and investigative steps are becoming more public. That tells us something important has changed behind the scenes. The key question, and the one most coverage is still avoiding, is this: are these detentions procedural, or do they signal a deeper breakthrough in the case? That question goes directly to accountability, due process, and what may come next. Because once detentions begin in a case like this, the legal clock starts moving, either toward formal charges or toward release. In the next section, we are going to lay out only the verified facts based strictly on what has been publicly confirmed by reputable outlets and law enforcement statements. No rumors, no anonymous social media claims, just the timeline and what we know for sure. Here is what is confirmed at this stage of the investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, based on reporting from major outlets and statements attributed to law enforcement. Authorities in Pima County, Arizona, are treating this matter as an active criminal investigation. Multiple reports now confirm that at least 3 individuals have been detained in connection with investigative activity tied to the case. Officials have not publicly identified those individuals, and their legal status has not been fully clarified. It is critical to state precisely what is known and what is not. Detention, in legal terms, does not automatically mean arrest, and it does not automatically mean charges have been filed. Law enforcement agencies often detain individuals temporarily to question them, secure evidence, or clarify timelines. At this time, no formal charges have been publicly announced, and no suspect has been officially named. What has been confirmed is a visible escalation in investigative activity. Reports indicate increased law enforcement presence, coordination between agencies, and the seizure or securing of property connected to the investigation. Federal authorities are reported to be involved alongside local law enforcement, signaling that the case has reached a higher level of scrutiny. Officials have also maintained tight control over public disclosures. That restraint is consistent with criminal investigations in sensitive phases, particularly when detentions occur and investigators are working to avoid compromising evidence or due process. Family members, including Savannah Guthrie, are reported to be cooperating with investigators. Law enforcement has reiterated that public attention does not change investigative standards or procedures. To summarize the verified facts clearly, this is an active criminal investigation. At least 3 individuals have been detained per multiple reports. No names, charges, or suspect designations have been publicly released. Multiple agencies, including federal authorities, are involved. Public details remain limited by design. These facts establish the current legal and procedural status of the case, not conclusions, not outcomes, and not guilt. The next step is understanding how interpretations and claims are beginning to form around these detentions, and where they may diverge from what authorities have actually confirmed. As soon as reports surfaced that 3 individuals were detained, the public narrative around the Nancy Guthrie case accelerated sharply, and with it came assumptions that are not supported by confirmed information. One of the most common claims circulating is that these detentions mean the case has been solved, or that arrests are imminent. That conclusion is not supported by anything authorities have publicly confirmed. Detentions can occur for many reasons in a criminal investigation: questioning, evidence verification, timeline clarification, or to secure cooperation. None of those automatically translate to criminal charges. Another claim gaining traction is that these individuals have been identified as suspects. Again, that has not been confirmed. Law enforcement has not used the term suspect, nor have they announced probable cause findings or warrant-backed arrests. The absence of that language is meaningful in criminal procedure. There is also speculation that federal involvement signals a specific type of crime or jurisdictional handoff. While federal agencies are reportedly involved, their presence alone does not define the nature of the offense. Federal participation can be triggered by interstate activity, financial elements, digital evidence, or resource needs, not solely by the severity of a crime. What is real and important is the shift in investigative posture. Detentions represent a move from information gathering to active legal process. That shift suggests investigators believe certain individuals may have information critical to the case. But belief is not proof, and process matters. High-profile cases often create pressure for rapid answers. That pressure can lead to narrative overreach, where possibility hardens into certainty before evidence supports it. That dynamic serves no one, not investigators, not families, and not the public. The responsible takeaway right now is restraint. Detentions indicate movement, not resolution. They mark progress in procedure, not conclusions about guilt or responsibility. Until charges are filed, warrants are unsealed, or law enforcement formally names suspects, everything beyond confirmed facts remains interpretation. Understanding that boundary is essential, especially as the case enters a more sensitive phase. Which brings us to the next question. What does accountability look like now? And what signals should viewers actually watch for as this investigation continues? With reports confirming that 3 individuals have been detained, the Nancy Guthrie case has entered a phase where accountability shifts from search to process. At this point, progress is no longer measured by public statements or visible activity alone. It is measured by legal steps, the kinds of steps that are often quiet, deliberate, and intentionally shielded from public view. This is where many people misread criminal investigations. Accountability does not mean immediate answers. It means that law enforcement must now justify continued detention, either by releasing individuals, converting detentions into arrests backed by probable cause, or presenting evidence to prosecutors. Those decisions are governed by strict timelines and legal thresholds, not media pressure. So what should viewers actually watch for? First, changes in language from authorities. If officials move from detained to arrested, that signals a legal escalation. If they reference persons of interest or suspects, that reflects a narrowing focus. Until then, the investigation remains fluid. Second, court activity. Arrests lead to filings. Filings lead to hearings. Even sealed proceedings leave procedural footprints. Those are the signals that matter. Third, evidence handling. Reports of warrants, searches, or seized materials, especially if confirmed by authorities, indicate that investigators are building a prosecutable case rather than simply gathering information. Fourth, agency coordination. Continued federal involvement suggests that investigators are examining elements that extend beyond a single jurisdiction or involve specialized expertise. What should not be overweighted are anonymous claims, leaked screenshots, or social media narratives that fill the silence with certainty. Silence in criminal cases is often a sign of precision, not stagnation. The responsibility now lies with investigators to follow evidence where it leads, and with the public to allow that process to unfold without rushing to conclusions. This is the most sensitive phase of a criminal investigation, the point where mistakes can compromise outcomes. Which brings us to the final question. What does this moment mean for the case as a whole, and how should responsible coverage end when answers are still unfolding? As we close, it's important to be clear about where this case now stands, and what today's developments actually mean. Reports that 3 individuals have been detained mark a serious escalation in the Nancy Guthrie investigation. But escalation is not the same as resolution. Detentions reflect movement in process, not conclusions about guilt, motive, or outcome. This is the point in a criminal case where precision matters most. Law enforcement now operates under stricter legal timelines and higher evidentiary standards. Decisions made in this phase, whether to release individuals, seek charges, or continue building a case, will shape what happens next. Those decisions are guided by evidence, not headlines. For the public, responsible attention means resisting the urge to fill gaps with assumptions. Detention does not equal arrest. Arrest does not equal charges, and charges do not equal conviction. Each step has its own legal threshold, and investigators must meet those thresholds carefully to protect the integrity of the case. What should give weight to today's development is not speculation, but structure. Multiple agencies are involved. The case remains criminal, and investigators are now actively testing information through legal process. That is how answers are built. This story is still unfolding, and restraint is part of accountability, for law enforcement, for media, and for viewers. The next meaningful update will come through formal action, filings, arrests, or official statements that change the legal posture of the case. Until then, facts matter more than noise. This is the Grant Caldwell Report. We follow the process, we separate confirmation from conjecture, and we update you when information is verified. If you want continued responsible updates as this case develops, like this video, subscribe, and turn notifications on. We'll stay with it.